Welcome to our Everything Disc on Catalyst Administrator Training. My name is Stephanie Leo. I'm the Senior Brand Manager on Everything Disc, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today. Before we get started, we have just a few quick housekeeping items to go over to ensure that you all get the most out of your time with us today. First, I just want to remind you all that this event will be recorded and sent to all registered participants within 48 hours, hopefully by tomorrow. Second, if you need to enable closed captioning, just click the CC button at the bottom of your screen. And then third, we have enabled the Q&A feature for this event. So we're a large group today, and we're going to try our best to respond to as many questions as we can. So please have patience and make sure to write your questions clearly for the moderators. Additionally, this call does include both clients and authorized partners. So for any technical questions, you can email Catalyst Technical Support at catalystsupport@wiley.com. And then for more detailed questions, please reach out to your authorized partner. So with that, I'd like to introduce you to our Wiley team. Your presenter today is Sharon Moore, our Platform Product Manager. And then moderating the Q&A, we have Inez and Luke from our Partner Success team. And producing today's event is Andy Bauer. So from all of us, I just want to give a big thank you for taking the time to be here with us. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Sharon. Sharon, over to you.
All right. Thank you. So for today's agenda, we're going to be talking about, it's Stephanie, can you click through for me? I'm sorry, it's a build. So for today's agenda, what we're going to be focusing on is what you need to do to actually connect the things that you need to connect to get started in Catalyst, to actually gain access to the Catalyst Administrator experience. And then we'll also look at accounts and organizations, departments, learners, and groups. So those are all the main sections of Catalyst, and we're going to hit them all in our training today. Now, on the screen there, I have a photograph of the cover page of the Catalyst Administrator User Guide. And you all should have access to that already. And in that user guide, you're going to find everything that I'm going to talk about today. So there's no need to be taking detailed notes, trying to write down everything that I say. Don't worry about trying to follow along maybe on your own computer. What you really should do is just kind of sit back, listen, watch what I'm doing, listen to the tips and the tricks and the whys and the hows of everything that deals with this Catalyst Administrator experience. And then afterwards, we're going to send you a copy of that user guide that has everything in it. And you can always download a new copy of the user guide in case one becomes available in the future from your Epic account. And I'll show you that too in a moment. Okay, so again, don't worry about taking notes. Don't worry about following along on your computer. You'll get a copy of the user guide if you don't already have one, and that's going to have everything you need to get started. All right, so with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and show you everything you need to know about this Catalyst Administrator experience. All right, so let me get my screen all prepared here. All right, here we go, guys. So there are prerequisites for using the Catalyst Administrator experience. There's two. The first prerequisite is you need to have an Epic account. And that's the screen I'm showing you right now. This is the home page of my Epic account. And I'm a user in there. I have logged in. Okay. So you need to be able to do the same thing as I've done. All right. But of course, with your own account, with your own user. And then the other thing you need is you need to have a Catalyst account. You need to be able to log into Catalyst with a username and password, where you learn about your disk style, where you see your disk information, you see your colleagues and create groups and learn all about disk, right? You need those two things, two separate accounts, okay? Then once you have those two things, from the Epic account, And Epic is the account that holds all of your credits, right? This is where your credits live. It's like your online checking account, your online bank account, right? Epic's where the currency resides. Okay. If you'll go into Epic and synchronize your Catalyst learner with your Epic user, then what that does is magically, the next time you go into Catalyst, Catalyst knows, oh, you're an administrator and a learner. I already knew you were a learner. You've been logging in and learning about DISC for a while. But now I know you're an administrator too, because you have access to an Epic account. Okay, so that's how you turn on the Catalyst Administrator experience for yourself. You don't have to ask anybody to do it. You just need those two things, and then you need to synchronize your users. And I'm going to show you how to do that. To synchronize your users, you actually go to Epic, all right, and log in. So I've done so. I've logged in as user John Doe. Not very creative, I know, with his name, but we're John Doe today. And if I go to the personal options menu, there is something here called My Personal Settings. And if you click on it, this is a screen that you may not have even known was there before, because it's one that's rarely used probably, because this is the place that you go to change your username and your password. Okay, so typically once you've set that stuff up, you don't go in here very often to change it. And so, but this is the place that you're going to need to go one more time to synchronize your Epic and Catalyst users. Okay. When you select that option, the screen changes and it gives you the ability to enter your Catalyst username and password. So that's your learner username and password. So just type it in like you did when you logged into Catalyst the last time. All right. And then you click this button to sync users. And what that does, it's pretty fast, right? What it does is it now just connected those two users kind of in the back end of the software. So now Catalyst knows this particular learner with this email address should be an administrator in Catalyst. So to see that, let's log in. So now I'm going to log in with that same username and email address that I just entered, right? When I synchronized, I'm going to log into Catalyst. And this is the screen that you're familiar with. You've seen this before. It's the home page, right? So I've logged in as John Doe again, right? Because I was John Doe in Epic, so I'm going to be John Doe in Catalyst too. And I've logged in as John. This is a screen I'm familiar with. It's my home page. I've seen it many times before. But up in the at the top in the header of the page, there's a new link that wasn't there before, and that's the Go to Admin link. And if I click that, it takes me into the Catalyst Administrator experience. And what I'm now seeing is the home page for the Catalyst Administrator experience. Okay. So it looks a little different than the learner experience. And what it tells me is that I am synchronized with this Epic account. So that's the same Epic account that I logged into over here in Epic. And it's telling me, yep, you're synchronized with that account. It's even showing me my Epic credits. Look, it's the same credit balance, at least it better be, over here in Epic. Okay. So this is just kind of showing me that that connection exists. This list of organizations are the same organizations that I could find in Epic from the Manage My Organizations page. These are organizations that in the past I've either created or I have assigned a Catalyst access code to someone belonging to one of these organizations. Okay. You have the ability to set up additional organizations if you want. And why would you want to do that? Well, just remember that organizations, they are the organizing principle around Catalyst learners and who they can see and who they can interact with. So learners that belong to the same organization, that are associated with the same Epic account can see each other on the Your Colleagues page as a learner. Okay, so you can use organizations to segment learners however way you need to, just based on visibility, who needs to be able to see each other. So if you ever need to create, these distinct organizations, maybe within your company, you can have multiple organizations within the same umbrella company. And all you have to do to set them up is just click the Add Organization button, give it a name, give it a location. You can even upload a logo, and then you don't have to, it's not required. And then just click Add Organization, and it creates it. Okay. Now, why do you want to create organizations from this page? What does it do for you? Well, I already explained that organizations allow you to segment your learners into who they can see. So once you log in to Catalyst and go to the Catalyst Administrator Experience, the next thing you have to decide is which group of learners, which organization do I need to work with at this moment? And then you simply click on the organization's name. This will automatically bring up a list in the center portion of the screen showing you all of the existing learners that are already associated with this organization in this particular Epic account. So these are the learners that were created in this Epic account, and that's how they just appeared for me when I logged in as this new Catalyst administrator. Because I synchronized those two accounts, it's pulling data from the Epic system and showing it to me in Catalyst. Okay. Now, this is kind of your home page, this learner view, every time that you select an organization. Okay. And it's a good thing that it's your home page for an organization because as an administrator, it's with the learners that we spend most of our time, right? Creating new learners, maybe updating an old one, helping them, supporting them when they have questions and concerns. And so that's where you primarily will spend most of your time, is working from this main learner screen when you're looking at an organization. But there are other things you can do with your organization, but maybe just not on a daily basis. And those things can be accessed here on this left navigation bar here in Catalyst on the admin side of things. So if you click on the organization's name right here on the left navigation bar, it will open up the organization's record. So this is the ABC company that was probably created back in Epic, okay, when I set up this Catalyst program maybe years ago, okay. So I can come in here at any time, though, and edit the information. I can edit the logo if I want to remove it, upload a new one. I can even download this existing logo if I needed to. Maybe I want to use it somewhere else, and it's another software system even, and I just need a copy of the logo. I can download it. You can edit the right in line on the page. You can edit the location, the organization ID. You can't edit. That was automatically assigned to the organization when it was created. But for any reason, maybe like in a technical support situation or something, if you needed to know the organization's ID, here it is. And you can even easily copy it so that you could paste it somewhere, maybe in an email if necessary. You can see all of the assessments that have been assigned to this organization, and you can even view those that have completed their assessment. They're right here. So all kinds of neat things that you can do with the organization once it's been created. Other things on the left side of the page that deal with the organization and are things you may not interact with all the time, frequently, are departments. If you click on departments, this will show you all of the departments that have been set up for this organization. Now, these departments could have been created by an administrator just by clicking on Add Department and entering a department name. Okay. They could have also been created in Epic. Epic has the ability to create departments too, right? But however they got here, here they are. And once they're here, you can edit them if you need to, just by clicking on your little dot, 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 your little ellipses over here in the far right. You can edit a department. You can delete a department if it's never been used, if it's like empty, meaning there are no learners in the department, you can delete it, like technology here, no learners. How do I know there's no learners? Because this tells me the number of learners assigned to a department, okay? From this page, it also does something really cool. It shows you all of the learners that you've currently got set up for this organization that aren't assigned to a department. Now, learners, of course, can pick their own department when they register for Catalyst and from their account settings later on, something that a learner can always change. But if you want to kind of clean things up, you can do that. If you click on Assign, it'll show you everybody that doesn't have a department, and you can go in here and add one. You can also transfer. I don't know if you saw that option earlier. You can transfer if you wanted to move like all of the people from this department to another department. You could do that. And you can always click on the department name and you'll be able to see the people that are in the department. And once you're looking at the list of people that are in a department, you can transfer those one by one. If you wanted to put them into a different department, you could. Okay. You could remove the person from the department. Maybe you don't know where to put them yet. You could. Okay. So all kinds of neat options that you have. Dealing with the departments gives you more control over your data. You have the ability to kind of clean things up, put people in the right spot as you see fit. And we know that departments, the reason that they're even important or maybe even helpful for a learner is because when a learner is maybe trying to find a colleague on the Your Colleagues page, one of the filters that are available to learners is departments. And so it just kind of helps learners find people that are more relevant maybe to them, or to find someone if maybe they don't know their full name when they're searching for people. So it's just an additional piece of information to tie to a learner to make things more relevant. All right, so that's the departments. Now let's go back to the learners, because I said that's the place where you spend most of your time, right? And by default, notice over here on the left-hand side, before I move on, that when you click on learners, there's all kinds of things you can do with learners, right? By default, active learners is where Catalyst always takes you when you click on an organization initially and it loads the organization page. It's the active learners that it shows. But you can also see learners that you've archived in the past. They wouldn't be in the active view. You can look at batch reports that you've generated in the past for multiple learners, or batches of reports that may not have completed. They're still generating. You can check their status. You can even see invitations that you have scheduled for a future date to be sent to learners. That's a scheduled invitation. It's in the future. So all of these things are different ways that you can segment and look at your learners quickly. We've kind of done the segmenting for you. But I'm going to go back to active learners because I believe that's probably where you'll spend your most of your time. And the first thing I want to show you is how can you add learners here? Because some of you may have come to the Catalyst Administrator experience and you didn't have any learners when you clicked on an organization. You didn't create any learners in Epic before. So how do you get started? Well, you can add a learner one by one just by typing in their name and email address. and clicking the Add button. And you can do multiple, doesn't have to just be one person. You could just add them one by one. And if all of these learners should be grouped together so that you can find them easily in the future. For instance, maybe these learners are all going to attend a training together. And I want to kind of keep them together so that it's easier to find all these training participants. It'll just make it quicker for searches. You can do that because you can add them to a group right here from this screen. You can even create a group for this screen. So maybe, let's say I'm going to have a training on March 15th. And I want to group these guys together so that later on I can find them to generate their reports in batch, to look at them to make sure that they finish their assessment, that kind of thing. So I'm going to put them all together. Now, if I want to, I could make this group not just for me. I could actually have it show up on the training participant screen in their Catalyst learner experience so that when they log in, if I wanted to, I could make them see not only this group, but all the people that are in it. Okay. But maybe I don't want to do that yet. Let's maybe wait till closer to the training, or maybe I'll wait till during the training and share it and it'll be a big reveal, something like that. So I can keep it off and come back in later if I want. I could even include myself in the group, meaning I'd kind of be in the group map if I wanted to, if that seems appropriate. And again, I can edit that information later if I need to. But for now, I'm just going to say, hey, I'm grouping these guys together because it's going to help me do my job faster. Later on, I'll be able to find them quicker. So once you've added the learners, then you have to tell Catalyst what content do you want to give them. After they complete their assessment, what do you want them to see on the screen? And these are your options: Workplace Management and Agile EQ. Okay, so by default, Workplace is selected and you can't turn it off. You can click on that all day long and it's not going to turn off. Everybody has to have Workplace. That's the base experience. Now, if you want to add on an additional application available in English only here, then of course you can, okay, for additional credits. Okay, but for now, I'm just giving them Workplace. So I'm going to unlock. That's what this means down here. I'm going to unlock the Workplace content once they complete their assessment. This is just confirming who I am scheduling at this moment and just kind of, telling you exactly what's going to happen, how many credits are going to be spent. If you change your mind, you're like, oh no, I don't want this person to be scheduled, maybe not in this group or not at this time. You can remove them from the list. And then your next screen allows you to select a time. You could select a date and a time if you want to send the invitation in the future. You could send a reminder in the future if you wanted to. You can enter a custom message. Oops, if I could type. And then you'll just send your button to schedule your learners. Okay. And then you're done. And here's the learner that I just scheduled. There's Pearl. Notice now that we're looking at this list, I can show you something. When you're looking at the list, notice the style column. Really cool column, because not only does it tell me the style of the learner at a glance, didn't have to generate a report to see that, but it also gives me their status at a glance, right? Because how can you have a style show if you complete your assessment, right? And only if you complete your assessment. So at a glance, I can see, oh, Pearl hadn't completed the assessment, right? Another thing I want to point out is this little symbol. Do you see how Pearl has a little symbol? It's a picture of kind of like, your head and a line going through it. And what it means is that Pearl is not sharing her profile to her colleagues. Well, of course she's not. She hasn't taken her assessment yet. Pearl hasn't even registered yet. So of course she's not sharing. That's another quick indicator to me. I would be like, oh, if I see that, I'm usually like, oh, they just haven't taken their assessment yet. Yeah, look, incomplete. But then this learner, okay, now this learner has turned off sharing as well. He's not showing up. He won't show up on your colleagues page, for the other learners here. He turned his sharing off, like from the account settings where you can make yourself private and turn off sharing. So great information just at a glance. Okay. Now, before I move on though, I do want to show you one last thing for adding. I showed you the simple way to add somebody just one off, but if you have a large group of people that you need to set up for Catalyst, a big group of learners, then really the easiest way to do it is to download this template and import it. The template that you download, I already pre-filled one out. It's just 3 columns: email address, first name, and last name. That's it. Nothing fancy here. We can all generate that probably. And just import it in, search for it, upload it. It's importing it. You get the same options you did if you had added these people one by one. I can add them to an existing group if I want. Again, same screens, right? Pick the content, confirm you want all these people, and send it on its merry way. Okay, so now I've got even more people here. All right. Another thing that's neat from this page is the filters. Love that we've got some really cool filters here to help you do common tasks. For instance, maybe it's getting close to a training and I need to check and see who has or has not completed their assessment. Well, I can just say, hey, show me everybody that's incomplete. I could even, if I put everybody into nice little tidy groups, I could even say, show me who's incomplete for this training versus a different one that I have scheduled. And look, it shows me who they are. Hey, that's neat. Now I know who to contact. But we'll take it a step further. You can select everybody, and then how about just send them a reminder? You're already here. That's it. Hasn't this just made your life easier just with these few little tips and tricks? Love this stuff. Okay, so how about we're getting close to the training and now we want to look at the people that are completed. Of course, I don't have anybody completed for that particular training. So what if I say, just show me the completes? Okay, then, well, wait a minute. I think it's still looking for that group. Clear all. Okay. All right. If you, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it one way or another. If I'm just looking for my completes, there we go. I could select them all. And here, look, I can generate reports in batch. Up here, I can decide what I want to appear in the report. Okay. Do you want just the base workplace? Do you want to have Agile, EQ, and management? Maybe you added those, for the learners, you've unlocked that content for them. Do you want the supplement for facilitator report? What do you need? Check it all off, generate the batch, and here it is. It's sitting here as a batch, waiting to be generated. It's telling me the status. I can come back and check the status at any time from generated reports. So if I go off and I'm playing around with learners again, and then I'm like, oh, wait, let me check those reports. I wonder if it generated. I can go over here to generated reports, and see, oh, nope, it's still generating. When it's ready, you will see a complete file size appearing, and this download icon will be enabled, meaning it's not grayed out, and you can click it, download it, all your reports. Okay. They don't stay here forever because, they do take up room on a server somewhere, so they do expire. Okay. That's by the expiration date. And as you can see from the date, they expire in a week. Okay. Back to active learners. The last thing I wanted to show you from this screen, again, something that you can do in batch. You can go in here and select, let's just select clear these. There we go. You can select one learner, all learners, however you want to do it. And you can unlock additional content in bulk. So I don't have to click on a learner one by one if I want to give them an application, additional content in the future. Okay. I could check the content that I want to give, click the button to take us to this next screen where it confirms what I've actually selected. So it's showing me those people that I selected, they all have workplace, of course. I selected to give them all Agile EQ, okay? But some people already had Agile EQ, so that's why it's checked off. This learner already had Agile EQ. But it's not going to like charge me twice or anything and try to give the learner Agile EQ twice. It's just letting me know, hey, this person already has it. That's why the number of credits you're spending here might be different than what you calculated on the previous screen, right? Because some people have already have the information. We're not going to let you, double up and spend more money than you need. So you just need to confirm your content. You can put in your custom message and send your assessment, and you're on your merry way. Okay. Now, what that email that gets sent that I just said, send the email, what it does is it just notifies all of those people that we just gave additional content to. It sends them an email and says, hey, it's got additional content. Go in and check it out. So that's all it is. It's a notification email, no assessment to take or anything like that. As I alluded to earlier, you can just click on a learner's name. All I did was click on their name or email address, any of it, and you can go in here and you could add content this way. If they had completed the assessment, then they would have the ability to download this profile, but this learner hasn't completed the assessment. That's why download profile is grayed out. Can't download what you can't download. On more options, I can see any groups that this learner belongs to, departments that either I or a colleague or she has assigned her to. You also have a history log, you can see everything that's happened with the learner, when they were assigned their assessment, if additional content was added, when, and if they haven't taken their assessment yet, if they haven't started it, you can also unassign an assessment. And that will remove their ability to get in and take the assessment. It kind of just wipes out that ability for them, but it also reclaims your credits. So if this is someone that you assigned by mistake or they've left the organization and, they're never going to take the assessment for whatever reason, reclaim your credits, add them back up here, to your total. Okay. Another thing though, what if a learner leaves the organization after they take their assessment? Right now, if you don't do what I'm about to show you, they'll just keep appearing on your colleagues page for everybody to see, and they may be long gone. So what do you do with them? Well, you can archive learners from this new Catalyst Administrator experience. That's a feature that if you have used Epic in the past, it's not a feature that you had in Epic. And to do that, pretty easy, just click on their name, okay? And so this is a learner that has completed the assessment. How do I know? Just at a glance, because I can download the profile. That's the dead giveaway. And for someone that has completed their assessment and you want to remove them from your colleagues page and all those, like the get advice search functionality where you search for a colleague to get advice on how to work with them. If you want to remove them from all of that, then you can archive the learner. archiving the learner, and I'm going to click on the button so that you can see exactly what it does. It removes them from groups, departments, your colleagues, get advice, all those things. It removes them. They're just disappear. They're no longer searchable. That's what it is. But it doesn't delete any of their information. You, as an administrator, can still find them. If you look over here on the left-hand side, I know it's grayed out, but here's my expanded list of all the things you can do with learners. And remember, archive learners was one of the options. And this is where archive learners stay. Okay, so there we go. That's how you archive a learner. And I think I've covered just about everything that we can do with the learners from here. I wanted to point out this one. This particular learner, because they have completed the assessment and we've added additional content, at a different time, then you can see all the things that happened here on the history. Just looks a little more interesting than that previous learner we were looking at, because that learner had just been assigned, hadn't done anything yet, hadn't completed an assessment or anything. Okay. All right. All right, so next, what I want to show you is groups. We've touched on groups, right? When we were assigning a new learner. Remember, when you add learners, whether one by one or importing a whole big list of them, you have the ability to add them to a group, and we even created a group here, right? So what are groups? Well, it's just a mechanism for organizing learners for whatever reason you might need. The learner side of Catalyst has groups. You may have experienced it. You may have even created a group of your colleagues, your teammates, your friends at work. And learners can create groups, but remember, learners, when they create groups, they can only add 25 additional people to the group, and they have to include themselves. So as a learner, when I create a group, I'm in it and I can add up to 25 other people. So 26 total in the group. Groups for administrators is a little bit different. For administrators, if you create them from this screen as an admin, you can have up to 500 people, not 25. And you also kind of got a taste of it when I created that group earlier. You can decide whether or not to include yourself or not, because maybe you're not really part of that group. It's just a group of people for whatever reason. You don't necessarily have a shared experience with them that you need to be a part of it. So you can create groups here of up to 500 people. And you can include yourself in the group if it makes sense, or you don't have to. But once you've created the group, let's just see what you can do with it, okay? Because it's different. Learner-created groups are meant for learners to learn more about each other as a group, as a team. How do we work together? How are we, what different styles make up our group? Do we have more C styles? Do we have more D styles? That kind of thing. It changes the group dynamics. So it's more about working together. On the administrator side, it's strictly about organization. If it happens to help working together, by including you in it, if it helps you work better together with them, great. But it's really more of organizing information for other people or for easier searches and sorting later on. So let's add a group, and then we can kind of play with it and kind of see the different options. But before I add one, I just want to show you that group that we created before, the March 15th, 2025 group. I put 3 learners in it. I was pretending like this is a future training that I'm going to be conducting, and I just wanted to group these guys together so I can find them. Because I did not share that group, I just clicked on it just to kind of so we can see it. Because I didn't share the group with other people, it is a private group. Okay, so because this make group visible to to the group members, because that's turned off, then this is a private group. That means it's only visible on the admin side of things. Okay, private group. If a shared group then would be just the opposite. If I create a group and make it visible to the people in the group, perhaps even including myself in the group. But if I make it visible to other people, then that becomes a shared group. So when you click from the left-hand side of the screen, when you click on groups, it's going to default to showing you the shared groups. It's just the default. Private groups, though, the ones that you might have created and just didn't share out with everybody yet, maybe you never will, you have to click this little link to see them. Okay. Just wanted to kind of distinguish between what's a shared group and what's a private group, and why you might want to have one over the other. Once you start getting a ton of different groups, you do have filters that you can use. You can filter by name or the group type, because over the years you might get, tons of groups. Notice though, if you do start getting tons of groups, and maybe after these training sessions, maybe the group, these group entities are not as meaningful for you. And it's kind of like, hey, after the training or after the follow-up, that I do with it, I really don't need this grouping anymore. You can always come in and delete them and clean it up. But if you do have a ton of different groups over time and you are going to hang on to them for a bit, just wanted to point out some really cool filters that you have there. All right, so let's go ahead and create a group and just kind of play around. We can give the group a name, of course. Now, if it's a private group, name it whatever you want, just for you and the admins. But of course, if it's going to be shared, might want to having more meaningful name than the one I've entered as test. Probably doesn't mean much to a lot of people. The group type, it doesn't do anything. It's not like you have different features because you have one group type over another. It's just a way to distinguish and to filter the groups later on. So it's just a way for you to kind of, tell yourself, other people later on, remind you, why did I create this group? What was I trying to group here? Well, here's some common groupings that we have seen working with our customers. These are kind of the main areas that they use. Of course, we always have other, if you have a unique reason for creating a group. And again, we talked about, do you want this to be visible or not? I'm even going to include myself in it. Okay. And then you click on add group, and this just kind of creates the container, right? It's got the group, the little container. And since I included myself, I'm in there. Now, if I'm making a huge group for whatever reason, maybe I do want to do the 500-person group, it would be a little tedious if I sat here and searched for people, one by one, and, or check them off one by one. And by the way, if you do this one by one, search and check, that kind of thing, you can only do 50 of them at a time. It tells you that on the screen. Okay, so if you want to do the big, giant, Mongo 500 people group, you got to use the import. And just like we did before, I'm not going to bother importing, all these people because I don't have 500 people in this organization. The people have to exist in the organization for them to be added to a group. So what I've got maybe, what was it, like 7 people that I've added to this organization so far playing around today. So I couldn't create a group of 500 if I only have 7 to start with. But if you did have, 1,000 people in here, then cool, yeah. Upload a spreadsheet of email addresses. That's all it is. And it will go and search within this organization and find everybody with a matching email address, and it pops them into the group. That's how you create a 500 group. Let me add some people in here, just random people. Okay. Just so we have something. Yay, success. We have added people to the group. Now, once you've got the group created, on the learner side of things, do you remember what it looks like for groups? It gives you all kinds of insights and the percentage of, of people based on style and how we work together and all that. Doesn't do that here. Again, remember, it's organization. But what you can do is you could download a CSV file, meaning a comma delimited file, you know, that has all the group information on it. Let's just see what it looks like here. So you can see it gives you the group members, the group name, the group members' first and last name, their email address, and their style. And if they have an extra priority, even that would be listed. Why does this one not have anything? Hasn't completed the assessment. Okay. All right. Another thing you can do though, if you're like, okay, the CSV is great, but it's kind of boring, well, you can also download a group map. This will just give you the image. It's a PNG. You can see from my downloads here. So it's right here. Okay. And if we had avatars, our little avatars would be showing there too. Okay, so that's kind of neat. And then it's just a PNG file, and you can do whatever you want with it. Insert it, keep it, save it. So neat little features about your groups. And especially like that CSV file, because if you download that, and if you created a group, and going back to the whole training idea, like, oh, I'm going to create a group for every time I do a little group training or something. That becomes like you could download the CSV and it becomes like your checklist, as people arrive for training, you could check them off or something if it was in person. I don't know. There's tons of neat things that you can do with just some simple little features like downloading a group map and a list of people in a group. Okay, so super cool. All right, now I think we have covered all we needed on our little groups. I'm going back here and looking. Yes, I just want to show you our shared group. It does exist. Here's our private group. Okay, our private group has people who haven't even taken their assessment yet. Our shared group is a little more exciting because we have people who have completed their assessment, and look, they have avatars, so it's kind of neat to look at them there. Okay. Remember, I want to show you this one though. Remember the shared group? I put myself in it. Well, not me. I put John Doe, my alter ego today. Remember, I'm John. I put John in there. So that means if I go to the learner side of things, are y'all laughing at my alter ego? Yeah, I saw those emojis. If I go to my learner side of things, and let's see if this worked. If I go to groups, am I going to see? Yeah, there it is. Look, guys, there's my test group. There's the group that I just created over there on the other side. Isn't that cool? One thing I want to point out, it's kind of different, but it makes sense. If I also had created a group earlier as John Doe, and I just called it the friend group. These are my close friends. I made a group. Notice that because I'm the group owner, I created the group. When I look at my group as a learner, I have a little crown on my head because I'm the owner, okay? But this group that has been shared with me, not one that I created, I don't have a crown. And you're like, wait a minute, Sharon, you did create that group, but I created that group as an administrator, not as John the learner. Okay, I did it as John the administrator. So just wanted to point that out. I didn't know if any of you eagle eye people might have caught that, especially if you're a pro at Catalyst and these little symbols and what they mean. The crown. The crown means you created it as the learner, like from the screen. You might have created this group, but it was as an administrator. So I can't go in here and like edit the group because it was shared with me. It wasn't one that I created. Now, if I wanted to edit the group, do you see I just clicked on Go to Admin? Well, I could edit the group, but I have to edit it as the admin. Okay. Right. Now, if I wanted to take this group away, although that would be very sad now that I had given it to everybody, I could take it off, I could get rid of it. I could even remove myself from the group if I wanted to. Okay. And yeah, the group is no more. If I go to the learner side of things, it's no longer shared. I remove myself, no more group visibility. See, no group shared with me now. I just have my original group that I started out with as a learner, the friend group. All right. I think that does it, guys. I think we have gone through top to bottom, just about everything you can do in Catalyst. But let me go back to the right screen. Let's go to the Catalyst admin screen. Since that's where we spent all of our time and that's what you can end the training with. Remember, we're going to send you a copy of the user guide. We're also going to send you a couple of links to some videos. One's just an overview video, one's a little more in-depth, click by click, how to do things. But before I leave, I want to show you one other thing. In Epic, it's not in Catalyst yet, but in Epic, if you ever lose your user guide and you're like, I know she talked about archiving, she talked about unassigning, like, where do I find all that stuff? Go to the help file in Epic. I know you have access to Epic because you had to have access to Epic, right? To synchronize your account. So go to Epic, go to technical documents. Up here is a great little job aid with screenshots, with pictures that tells you how to synchronize your account. But here is that user guide. So that same thing that I showed you the picture of earlier when we were looking at the slides, it's the same thing here. And this is always the most up-to-date version. So as things change in Catalyst, and they change, they will change, they have changed, then we're constantly updating that documentation. So if you go into Catalyst, you're like, wait a minute, that looks a little different. Go check out the latest and greatest user guide because maybe it's a new feature or something that you haven't seen before. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Stephanie. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. And I appreciate your time today, everyone. And I hope you got something out of it and learned some tips.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. And thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. Before we end, to help us improve on future trainings, we do have a short survey that we've dropped into the Q&A. If you can please take just a couple minutes to complete it, we would really appreciate it. It means so much on these types of trainings. So thank you. As we mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, a recording of this event will be emailed to you tomorrow, along with some of the helpful resources that Sharon mentioned. And with that, that marks the end of today's training. Thank you all again and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.
Bye.